Welcome to More Classic Hymns. I am so thankful to see your comments on this channel, and we have several people writing in asking for more hymns and how to play hymns more advanced than just the basic progression. So I'm here today to work with you on I Have Decided to Follow Jesus. It's a great hymn. A wonderful story behind how this song was written. If you don't know it, it's worth looking up. And just a great statement of our faith and our desire to be with Christ and follow Him no matter what. So I wanted to start with this one for this tutorial. I want to use the key of C. That's usually what you find in many hymn books. And what an easy key to play in, right? So this one has a very basic chord progression. So I'm just going to go over that with you just to kind of refresh your memory. And then we'll go right into more complicated things. So if we start with the C chord, decided to follow Jesus, all the C chord, we go up to the 4 chord, F, to follow, 4 chord to 1 chord, back to C, have decided to follow Jesus, still that 1 chord, no turning back, C over G, G7, no turning back, C chord. Wow, that's so easy, right? How do we make that sound more than just a very basic piano progression? So one of the things we'll start right off with is going into a basic fill progression, and that is adding the 4th chord above. Whatever chord you're playing, add the 4th chord above. So it works like this. Okay, so if I'm on the C chord, I'm going to count up C, D, E, F. F will be my 4 chord. So what I'm going to do is play C, E, G. Using the common tone on the bottom, I'm just going to slide forward to play C, F, A. Look, that's an F chord. Yeah. So I have decided, C, F, C, C chord. Again, I have decided, F, C, F, C. Okay, now my F chord, F, B flat, F, B flat, F. So my F chord counting up F, G, A, B flat, the 4 chord, F, B flat, D, and I just slide back and forth. Notice I'm using a B flat chord. There's no such thing as a B flat chord in the key of C. What are you doing? It sounds good though, doesn't it? So I'm pretending just for that moment that I'm in the key of F, and the 4th chord in the key of F is B flat. That's where I'm headed, and that's why it actually sounds good. So adding in that 1 to 4 progression, it works in so many songs. You find it in a lot of the hymns. If you're just static, the vocals are singing, they have lyrics going, they're moving, but the overall harmony is just the 1 chord or the 4 chord. You can add in that fill very easily. Okay, let's move on. So another idea, those of you that know your chords and your scales well, I see pictures of piano lessons coming back, you can use those as fills. If you're just kind of, again, sitting stationary, decided to follow Jesus, I have decided. So using that, that's just all the C chord, and you saw a moment ago I was doing the to follow Jesus, I have decided. So I'm just using those chord inversions. You notice a lot of times I match them up to the lyrics, so that way I remember where the beat should go. I'm following the lyrics, and it's very easy to follow if you have somebody playing drums with you or rhythm guitar, that sort of thing. So that is another idea. You can even do scales if you want to be fancy. You know me, I like fancy. So what about this? Second line, decided to follow Jesus. I'm going to start, looks like I'm going to play a G scale from G to G. I won't play the F sharp. Obviously, we're still in the key of C. So in time, it would sound like, decided to follow Jesus, but I have decided. When I hit the top of the scale, I hit the full C chord there. And that way, boom, I just put in a really cool scale. It sounds great. It's energetic. And one thing I like about this hymn is that there's so much positive energy. But one thing I don't like about this hymn is, depending on your congregation, they might kind of drag it out and it's a little slow, and then it just kind of becomes, or people kind of nod off. So if you have those things, we're not trying to be overly aggressive, but just to add in a little bit of energy, propel forward and keep that energy going, whether it's your singers, your congregation, that helps so much, I found. Okay, so adding in a few scales or chord inversions, you can also do at the end of the hymn, or if you want to make it an introduction, because we don't have introductions. Nope. there's really not an introduction to hymns. So how do we make one? You take the last line of the hymn, or usually like the last line of the course often works. And what you're going to do is when you finish that line, you're going to play the fourth chord. I'm going to play here is the F chord over G, the fifth note of the scale of C. And that is an unspoken, hey, we're getting started. Oh, okay, go back. Let's start at the beginning. And people just know without you having to say anything or wave a hand or try to frantically get somebody's attention. That's where we start. So let's put that in context. I'm going to start at no turning back. No turning back. No turning. 1, 2, 3. I have decided. Or however you want to time it out. But that always works if you're repeating to go back to the beginning, or if you're using as an introduction, that's called the 4/5 chord. All right, so those are some of the basic fills that we can do. Of course, I don't know, if it feels basic, it might be hard if this is a new idea for you. But those are kind of the starter kit, if I can say it that way, of filling in most hymns. So let's add a few more ideas. And one of the things that really just makes me excited, we do it in gospel too, is putting chords that don't belong into the key, and we add it in to make a little bit of extra spice into the chord progression. So let's come back to the beginning. Decided to follow Jesus. Okay, so I'm here at a C chord. I'm going to move up to this treble C, and I'm going to play E, G, B flat C. I'm adding a B flat. Why am I adding a B flat? Because that makes it C7. C7 is your 5 chord. It leads to F. So take a listen. I have decided. That sounds so much more energetic, so much more interesting. All I did was added the note B flat to the C chord. So that makes a lot of sense to me. To follow Jesus. And you notice the left hand is tracing as well. C, D, E, F, 5, 1, and just reiterating that push to the 4 chord for that moment. So you can add that. When you're going into the next set of lyrics, before we sing No Turning Back, I have decided to follow Jesus. Okay, so in the basic chart is just play the C chord there, but I like to dress it up a little bit. So let's play C over E, Jesus. Left hand you're going to play E, G sharp, A. And the right hand you're doing C, G, or G, C, E, E7, G sharp, B, D, E, and just slide it back out to an A minor 7 chord, G, A, C, E. All together, I'll do it a little slower. And how does that fit into Jesus? That's the fit. Oh, that sounds so nice to my ear. So we did not end on the C chord as is prescribed in the hymn book or the basic chord chart, but I used a substitute chord, which was the A minor. Notice that in the A minor 7, all the notes from the C chord are present. I just added a little extra of that minor flavor. Okay, so lots of ideas. And I think I want to add one more progression. This one, I think, is still a surprise for most people. It's actually in the original hymn, but you won't find it. In most chord charts that you find online, you won't find it. So it's the No Turning Back. Excuse me. No turning. The bass clef is E, F, E, and the bass down there. No turning back. C over G. F sharp 7, F sharp diminished 7 to G7 over B, C. Sounds great. Whoops, excuse me. I did that wrong. No turning back. No turning back. Okay, so right hand C, F, C, C. And then you have your G7, C, not too hard. Left hand, you have G octave if you want, A to F sharp, B to F. And notice I'm kind of just walking inwards. The hand is collapsing. Without the top notes of the left hand, it's G, A, B, C. Hey, we just did that down here. Yeah, we're doing it again as we're coming to home plate. And we just added in some extra notes to pull that together. So if you don't have that progression, If you still have an old hymnal, you'll probably find it in there. And I absolutely adore that. It sounds so, so good to have that F sharp diminished 7 leading to the 5 chord G7 and then finally to 1. Okay, so I've spent all this time talking about different fills. Let's talk specifically about the left hand. As you know, if you watch my videos, you know my left hand likes to do a lot of rhythm. When these hymns were originally designed, there was sometimes not even a drum set, acoustic drums. Back in those days, sometimes it wasn't common to have it. Maybe you just had a rhythm guitar, or people were just clapping their hands. So, I mean, all the loops and the click tracks, all that was completely unheard of. So the left hand, sometimes the keyboardist's left hand was the rhythm instrument if you didn't have one. So I tend to do a lot of that. Have decided to follow Jesus. 1 and 2 and 3. I just kind of waffle a rock back and forth. Have decided. Oh. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. So that kind of feel really adds so much to the hymn. So if your left hand is not that strong, it may take you a while to get that rhythm and to get that independent of the right hand so they can eventually play together. But to me, that's one of my favorite things to do in the left hand is to add that energy and to lend some of that, what do we say, percussive features that you get a lot in the drums. But I found that it's nice, even when you have a drummer, to be able to do that in the left hand, because some of our if you have a drummer who's only used to contemporary, for example, playing hymns are kind of difficult. They're not as comfortable with that genre. And so I found having a really strong left hand and being like, this is the beat, it's right here, seems to help. So you can take it or leave it, whatever fits your situation best. So I hope that gives you ideas. Before I leave, I will talk about my last thing, which I've shown before, and that is if you want to add just a little bit of the blues feature, you can do that lower minor chord feel. So if you want to do the C chord, you'll start with what looks like C minor, but you'll just flick that third finger, slide it off. So I have decided to follow side. Isn't that fun? F chord side. Just kind of slide it off there. And that gives a little bit of the blues flavor. So if you want to hear this all put together, all these ideas, I will do that in a separate recording and just let you hear what it could sound like. But remember, take it at your own pace, whatever works best for you. I hope it gives you some new and fresh ideas. And I just want you to be encouraged. Keep going. You're doing great things for the kingdom of God, and I'm so proud of you for wanting to do more, for wanting to grow. I really believe God's going to bless you. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe and like this video if it was a help to you. I'll see you next time.